Hey everybody, welcome back to Years in Glory. Today we're joined by the one, the only James Coker at James Coker on Instagram. It's pretty simple handle. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, y'all. Just real hi. Sorry.
Hi.
Very,
All
thanks
right,
for
well,
yeah, but super pumped to talk.
yeah, we just want to kind of get to know you a little bit more, have some specific questions about perhaps some KFC style videos we've seen. Would love to recap the season a little bit. So I'm going to just kick us off with our first question for you, which we asked to a lot of our interviewees. But what kind of got you into motorsport? Obviously, you touch on more than just Formula One. We're Formula One based, but what kind of was the gateway to F1 and motorsport for you?
What's pretty wild throughout this whole journey is that before about 3 years ago, I had never watched a race in my life. Not just Formula One. I'd never watched any race at all. I mean, I think I might have watched the Indy 500 a few times as a kid,
Mm.
but I don't remember it. I was not a motorsport fan. I'm not even a big car person. I drive a Prius.
Wow.
But my wife and I, yeah, but my wife and I decided to put on Drive Survive one day,
Yeah.
and we immediately were hooked and binged. I think at that point there were 5 or 6 seasons out, but we
Hmm.
binged every season that was on Netflix within a few weeks, and I immediately started watching F1 as soon as I'd finished. So I think the first race I ever watched live was the 2023 Australian Grand Prix, and that was the one where there was it took like 5 hours because there was a red flag,
Yeah.
and it was I was up till like 2 or 3 in the morning because it started at nighttime here. But
Mm.
so I'm still very new to all this. But what happened was we got into it through Drive to Survive, started
Mm.
watching it. I made one video with my wife that I posted in my Instagram. I've been doing comedy for 15 years. I started
Right.
in New York, did improv and sketch comedy. So I've been posting sketches online forever.
Hmm.
But we did one video where I'm driving on the highway. My wife Jenny's pretending to be my race engineer, and
Hmm.
we're just doing team talk, like as if we're on the radio, but we're next to each other.
It's addictive.
Yeah,
I do it all the time.
yeah,
DRS to overtake, coming out of the pit lane, merging onto the highway, just going the speed limit. And I'm like,
100%.
yeah.
But we did it. I made this video and I put it online, not thinking much of it,
Mm.
and it went super viral. It had like 8 million views on
Nice.
Instagram, 8 million views on TikTok. ESPN shared it, Sports Illustrated shared it,
Oh,
Motorsport.com shared
cool.
it, and all of a sudden I started getting all these followers for this video, and I was like, okay, I still have footage from when we did this. Let me cut up a few more versions. So I
Hmm.
released like 3 more versions of that video, like same type of joke, but same premise, but different jokes.
Hmm.
Those all went super viral. So I told myself, okay, I'll do a few more F1 related videos. So I did some like BuzzFeed-esque listicle type videos
Ooh.
comparing
Uh-huh.
F1 drivers to Mario Kart characters and
Mhm.
comparing
Yeah.
Formula One teams to NFL franchises. All of those
Oh,
performed
yeah.
very well.
Have to go dig for that one for
Yeah.
sure.
And so then I told myself, okay, I will keep making F1 content until it stops getting engagement, and it never stopped getting engagement.
Right, here we are.
And here we are.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that leads me, I think, Liv, you have a question that's really going to tie into that. I want to ask really quick, do you back like a specific team?
No.
And no, just all of them?
Yeah, I just want everyone to cross the finish line at the same time.
I just want both teams to have fun.
Pretty much.
Okay, well then this might be an also non-answer, but with the past season that we've just wrapped up, obviously we just finished the 2025 season.
Yeah.
There was a lot of chatter about it. Were you backing any of the 3 that you really wanted to win between Max, Lando, and Oscar? There's no right answers. There are 2 Australians. I'm not going to say there's a right answer, but no, I'm kidding.
So I will say I've talked about this at length with a number of people, and I
Mhm.
talked about this on the WTF1 podcast for a while.
Right.
I feel like any of those outcomes would have been satisfying to me as a fan.
Hmm.
Max's comeback would have been unprecedented and unheard of, and
Yeah.
even though it would have been his 5th straight title, it would have been so much different than any of the other drivers' championships he had
100%.
won. If Oscar had been able to overcome the odds, and I believe he had like a 6 or 7% chance of winning the World Drivers' Championship in Abu Dhabi, if he had been able to pull that off, I think it also would have been super exciting and satisfying. You know, there's a lot of people wearing tinfoil hats, or maybe they're not tinfoil hats, saying that McLaren was favoring Lando. I do think while they weren't officially favoring him, I think they were. So I think Oscar was dealing with an uphill battle.
Mm.
I think the one silver lining for Oscar Piastri fans and Oscar Piastri is that I think that this was Lando's best and only chance to win a World Drivers' Championship. I think he's a very good driver.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he is absolutely deserving of winning the World Drivers' Championship this
Mm-hmm.
year. But I feel like the ceiling for Oscar Piastri is so much higher. And I think Oscar Piastri is going to win multiple World Drivers' Championships. But I think this was Lando's only chance to win a championship. So
wow. Yeah.
I think looking back in hindsight 10 years from now, I think it is probably the best result for all parties involved, because Lando gets his championship. He'll be able to rest on those laurels and be satisfied with that for the rest of his career. And I think Oscar's going to win like 2 or 3 or more drivers' championships. So I was happy with the outcome.
Yeah, well, and that makes me think we've talked a lot on the pod about, you know, the PIA rules and having 2 number 1 drivers and on that whole premise, and how the team backing makes a difference. And like, that's how the sport is, I want to say played, but I guess driven is a better word. But like the driver who, whether explicitly or not, has the team support as the number 1 is going to get the leg up. And that's how the game is played, and that's how the game is won too. So I think it's just a matter of seeing that, and it's just tough to reconcile. And that's kind of what I love about the sport too, with like Drive to Survive, is like the gossip. I love to gossip, so this is a perfect sport for me.
Yeah. It's trickle
So
down
I think,
yaponomics.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's why we're here. We can't shut up about it. We had to start a podcast about it. So yeah, I just think it's really interesting, that whole, I think that was very, very well said in ways that I think we've talked around but never put so succinctly. That was really well summarized.
And I'm not really, in no way am I speaking bad upon McLaren. Lando is the driver that's been there much longer. He's been there since
For so long.
Zach Brown for years has been grooming him to become a World Drivers' Champion, and you know, he is the senior driver at the team. I think Zach Brown in a way looks at Lando as like another son, and I think whether, you know, he can't admit it or not, he can't show favoritism, but I don't think he wanted anything more than for Lando to win the World Drivers' Championship that season. But he had to be political and diplomatic about it, at least when he's, you know, facing the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You think Lando would pull a Nico Rosberg and just win one and then retire?
I don't think he's just going to retire, but I do think that I think Lando will continue to compete for World Drivers' Championships. I just don't see, this is not a knock on Lando Norris. It's just because as long as Max is still in the sport, and as well as F1 continues to be as competitive as it is, I just don't see a scenario where Lando wins another Drivers' Championship.
Yeah.
100%. And I feel like that's like we've touched on so much. Like, as bad as it sounds, like McLaren needed to get to a point where they, as much as you don't want to pick a driver, you're going to have to push someone, because you give Max Verstappen a statistic like everyone's been doing, he's going to try and beat that statistic. And for the most part, he'll beat that statistic. And we nearly saw it happen, which I think you're so right. Lando Norris, you see all the cars, like edits on TikTok. It's like,
oh no, yeah.
And I just think it's so accurate. Everyone's like, this is two kicks. And like, it's sad. Like you said, any of the 3 that ended up winning it would have been like a dream scenario regardless. But there's been such a damper on it. Like, everyone's been like, yeah, Lando is the Chick Hicks, and like, they're so right. You know, after Chick Hicks wins the championship and no one like is cheering, he's like, where's the confetti? That's what it literally felt like, where's the confetti? But
yeah, he just got a weird hair grab from MBS. That's fine. Totally normal to do things like that on broadcast television. That's fine.
Yeah, on the FIA awards and everything. But I feel like
oh my god, yeah.
Like, there's this like, F1 was such a serious sport. Maybe it's not so much after like DTS and everything's come out. I think there has been more of a funny and less serious side to come out of it. And obviously on the WTF1 podcast, you have a great balance of fun while seriousness, what's sort of your take on like the role of like whimsy in the sport, and like how can you balance that silly and serious side?
I think I've always tried to come at like talking about motorsport from a comedic angle.
Mm.
As I've become more and more of a fan and become more passionate about it, I think I sometimes, like at least on the podcast, talk about it in a more serious way. But typically when I'm making content on my own page, I really just try to go for the jokes.
Yeah.
And I think it's refreshing to talk about it in a sort of more whimsical way or a comedic way, because it is a sport that takes itself so seriously and often is so stuck up. And being able to poke fun at how ridiculous it can be at times, I think lets all fans maybe find it more approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I think with like Mercedes, I feel like just in the second half of this past season has really been like, and you know what? I think it's okay to be fun. We're gonna just
Yeah.
copy paste this picture of Kimi Antonelli next to George, and it'll be normal and funny and haha. But like Valtteri Bottas didn't get his mullet until he was at stake. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
so recent that like people are like, oh, we can be fun too, and like people will still take us seriously, and there is allowed to be like this depth of character and like the personas of the team.
I think it also is a reflection on, and you guys can speak to this more than I can because I'm much older than y'all. I'm 41, but younger generations tend to, I think, especially now, lean into more absurd like behavior that's maybe they just love shit posting, right? And so like shit posting is your language, and that's how these teams get into the hearts and minds of fans that are your age, right?
Yeah, you can see that with VCarb. Like their
Yeah.
comment sections are like, "We love Gen Z humor," and "The intern is so good. Give her a pay rise." Like everyone loves VCarb, and I feel like a lot of teams have followed their sort of like sheep, and they're like, "Oh well, if VCarb can make a joke and like make their drivers look like a little bit of fools and call Liam Lawson a good boy."
Oh my god.
I'm sure that we
Forgot about that.
crack a little joke at Pierre Gasly and, have some fun with it. So, yeah,
100%.
I think that it's becoming a bit more normalized by the team.
VCarb by far was the funniest team on social this year. They were unbelievable. Their wealth of knowledge and their use of Kardashian sound clips was so good. And the fact that they were able to get the drivers on board
Yes.
to do it, like they were very much thought leaders in this space,
Yeah.
100%.
Almost bought VCarb merch because I loved their socials so much this year. I was like, you know what, you guys are fun. Like, maybe I will support you. You guys are some silly, goofy guys. Like,
well, and it like sets the precedent because now Arvid Lindblad is like, and now I'm quoting Miranda Priestley. Like now he's just sitting in a chair with sunglasses on with the phone in his face, It's so funny. I have a quick follow-up question to that. I know Stefano Domenicali, the CEO of F1, I believe, has come out and said like he wants more sprint races, more shorter form, almost like shorter form content out of Formula One. And I feel like it almost goes hand in hand with this like concept of shit posting, but not really at the same time. I would love to know your opinion on that.
I'm very anti-sprint race. I am not a fan of sprint races at all. I don't think we need them. I do think there are some numbers somewhere where they claim that ticket sales are better on race weekends where there is a sprint race as opposed to not. But as just a fan watching it, I try to watch all 3 practice sessions and qualifying. I like easing my way into a Grand Prix for the weekend. I don't like having one practice session, then sprint quali, then sprint.
Yeah.
It's so high stakes.
Grand Prix. It's just too much. I think it's too much for the teams. It's too much for the drivers. And as a fan, I just don't care about the sprint races. I think out of all the sprint races I've seen so far, there have been like 1 or 2 that I thought were pretty good, but they aren't different enough or unique enough for me to care about them. They're too short to have any type of tire strategy.
Yeah.
So I just don't see the point in them.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think we all do.
That's something we've spoken about, or at least I think I've spoken about on the podcast before. If they're going to have these sprint races, if they're so desperate to have these, let's chuck it back to like 2022, 2021, where the like final finishing positions of the sprint race set the grid for the main. It needs to have some sort of stake to it because, I mean, unless you're McLaren,
8 points.
unless you're
It's
McLaren,
like whatever.
nobody's going hard enough because you don't want to ruin your cars for qualifying that comes up in an hour.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, like you said, there's no high stakes. It's boring. So unless you're going to make that the qualifying for the Grand Prix,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we know that you don't just report on F1, you also do a bit of IndyCar, a bit of NASCAR. What would you say are your favorite parts of IndyCar and NASCAR? And do you have a favorite out of the sort of 3 series that you cover?
So I don't do a ton of NASCAR stuff. I've only been to 2 NASCAR races. One was a exhibition race at the Los Angeles Coliseum called Clash at the Coliseum, which they now do at Bowman Gray, which I believe is in North Carolina. And I happened to be in Tennessee for a work trip, and I went to the Cracker Barrel 400 at the Nashville Super.
The Cracker Barrel 400.
Yep.
This is really funny
do you
to
guys
hear.
know what Cracker Barrel is? So, okay, help me, James.
I was trying to really contain my reaction.
It's like
The Cracker Barrel 400 is like a restaurant and country store.
yeah.
Okay.
It's like if you were in a barn, but the barn was a restaurant, but the restaurant was in the 1800s, but it was also like not. I don't know how to describe the crack. There's like pictures of people on the wall, and nobody knows who any of them are, but they are all real.
Yes. 100%.
All right. I know what I'm going to be rabbit holing later.
The Cracker Barrel.
You guys are sleeping.
But I went to the Cracker Barrel 400. So I've been
Crazy.
to 2 NASCAR races, but I don't really follow NASCAR that much.
Okay.
And I don't make a ton of NASCAR content. I mainly make, besides F1, IndyCar content because I love IndyCar as a series. And I also have worked with Formula E in the past. So my first job, my first gig that I ever got as a content creator in the motorsports world was working for Formula E. I was hired to make content for season 10, which was 2 years ago in 2023. And I went to 2 races. I went to round 1 in Mexico City, and then I went to rounds 13 and 14 in Portland, interviewed all the drivers and teams. So I've never really done a ton of NASCAR stuff. What was your question, though, again?
Oh,
Gotten so off topic talking about Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel really threw us for a loop.
It really did. So out of IndyCar, Formula E, and F1, what would you say your favorite to sort of report on is?
I mean, I love IndyCar. IndyCar has like a very special place in my heart. I think what I love about IndyCar is that it seems to be fan first in its approach. It's very affordable. It's very accessible. You can buy a relatively cheap ticket to any IndyCar race and pay for pit and paddock access. You can meet almost every driver on the IndyCar grid and get photos and autographs. Often, if you're not going to one of the big races like the Indy 500 or Long Beach or the opening of St. Pete, you can just like walk right up to them and have a conversation with them.
That was cool.
I feel like F1 is like for the brands and the corporate sponsors, IndyCar is for the people. And I actually think F1 is so sexy and exciting, and the mystique behind Formula One you really can't beat. But I actually think the on-track product of IndyCar is better. There's way more overtakes. There's way more on-track passes. There's way more parity, in my opinion. You'll have a team or a driver that finishes in the back one week, and the next week they'll put it on pole. There's just more. It's more competitive, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really wish. I don't know if we can get IndyCar here. I feel like Liv, we spoke about this before, like how to watch it here. I feel like it's very difficult.
I feel like you got to buy like a Stan subscription, and then you got to buy the Stan Sport on top of it, and it ends up being like $40 a month, and
and like maybe a VPN. I don't know.
IndyCar used to race in Australia.
Did it?
Yeah.
What?
In the early 2000s when it was Champ Car. There was actually a team in IndyCar called Team Australia, which Will Power drove for. I don't know if you know who Will Power
They have
is.
really good names. They have really good names in IndyCar too.
Yeah.
There's some great there's a great Australian driver in IndyCar in Will Power who holds the records for most pole positions in the history of IndyCar, 71. And he's 2-time IndyCar Series champion and 1-time Indy 500 champion. Very nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a much more like accessible sport for drivers. Like especially in the past few years, we've seen so many F2 drivers. I mean, Mick Schumacher, an ex-F1 driver, we're seeing so many of them go to IndyCar instead. It just seems like it's more inviting than F1 seems to be these days for the driver.
So during this off season, I did a series with IndyCar's social team, and I interviewed 10 drivers over the course of the off season for their YouTube page. And consistently, every driver that I spoke with that came from Europe, the reason they came to IndyCar was because it was much more accessible than Formula One. A lot of these drivers had the ability to go through F3, F2, and try to get a seat in Formula One, but they couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
They found the road to Indy was much more accessible. So like I talked to drivers like Felix Rosenquist and Christian Lundgaard and Christian Rasmussen, and they all drove in Formula 3 and Formula 2 and were very competitive in it, but they just could not afford to keep seats in those ladder series. So they went to Road to Indy, which is like USF 2000, and now it's Indy Next, which then eventually takes you to IndyCar, and it's just a fraction of the cost compared to like going through F3 and F2.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a lot more diversity in it too, because isn't one of the like rising stars in Indy Next like person of color? I can't remember what his name
Miles
is.
Rowe.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Miles Rowe is amazing.
Which is like cool to see that. I think like maybe US based racing series, like I know NASCAR pit crews, there's like I recently followed on Instagram this black woman who was like, I'm going to be the first black woman, who's going to be on the pit crew for NASCAR. Yeah. It just seems like there's so many more opportunities and almost more welcoming. Not that I don't think F1 is not welcoming, but there's like propriety to it that is not always accessible to everybody, that just comes with like money basically.
For sure, it's definitely cost prohibitive, and you definitely have some diversity in Formula One, but not enough. And that's,
do you have Lewis Hamilton?
Well, you have one of the reasons why Lewis Hamilton started the Hamilton Commission, which was like a study about the lack of diversity in motorsport, and has challenged Formula One and the FIA to have more initiatives to create more diversity in F1 and motorsport as a whole.
That's super neat. Yeah, he definitely has been a champion for that kind of stuff. And it's been like, obviously we're all women, so like we're really excited about F1 Academy. Like that's super, super neat to us. I was in Vegas, so I got to watch the season finale for them. So that was super cool. Unreal experience. Felt really bad for Chloe Chambers' car, literally just like breaking randomly. That was nuts. But that's just like, it's nice to know.
And my logo on the formation lap was
I don't want to talk about it. I don't actually want to talk about that. I actually repressed that memory.
That was really hard. I felt bad for her.
Yeah. We have a bunch of stickers in our WhatsApp group, and so one of them is like Charles sitting on the hill, sad. And then Maya Wogue sitting on the side of the street, sad, also in like the same pose. I just have Lando Norris sitting on a hill, sad. So I have all these sad drivers sitting in my little keyboard. I feel really bad. I should get happy driver stickers too, but they're not as funny.
We don't need happy drivers. Yeah, but that F1 Academy in Las Vegas is a whole other side topic. But that was like, especially that Maya Wogue situation was so tricky, because we spoke about how, especially from the onboards, I don't blame her. It looked like Nina Gaidman had started to go. So I probably would have started to go too. I still, to this day, I don't know what actually happened. I can't look at it again. I can't rewatch it, because it was like, that was truly the end of her championship battle, if we're going to be brilliant. Yeah. But like, it looked like she was going to go. I don't think, it's traumatic, but yeah, such a sad.
Yeah. I wanted to ask with the way that IndyCar has so many more ovals, do you prefer oval tracks or like non-oval tracks? Because that's one thing that I like about F1 is there is also turns in like the other direction. Like I know Indy has tracks that aren't just ovals.
Yeah, so there's a number of street circuits, road courses, and
Mm.
ovals in IndyCar. I'd say, um, I don't know exactly how many, but I want to say an IndyCar season. Last season there were like 17 races. I want to say like 7 of them were ovals.
Okay, so it's way less than I think.
Yeah, it's not like NASCAR where the vast majority of races are on ovals.
Yeah.
There was Milwaukee Gateway, Indy 500, and I know next year there's going to be Phoenix, which I believe is on an oval.
Oh wow. That's gonna
Um,
be crazy to manage temperatures.
yeah, for sure. There was Nashville, which is also an oval. So like, yeah, I want to say there were like 6 out of like the 17 races. Most of them are road courses or street circuits.
Yeah, I know Portland because I went to school in Washington State, so like Portland's
Mm.
always top of mind for me. That like that's a track, and so like I could get away with like visiting friends and also seeing an IndyCar race like that because it's just so interesting. They're all over,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
yeah.
I know the one thing that IndyCar says they're missing is like an East Coast race,
Mm,
a proper East Coast race.
like Northeast.
They would love one in the Northeast. They were talking about also doing a street course in DC, which didn't happen. But that's sort of like the one thing that they're really missing. They also are
Mm.
working really hard to try to get to Mexico to give Pato Award a home race,
Oh, 100%.
whether it be in Mexico City at Autodromo or Hermanos Rodriguez
Mm-hmm.
or a street course somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Yeah, that would be super cool to get down to Mexico. And like the Northeast too. I'm trying to think of like where, because I don't think New York City would go for it. I think that would be too
No.
much of a, because it's so Midwest. Like IndyCar feels, and maybe it's just because it's the Indy 500, but it feels so Midwest to
Yeah.
me. Don't they have a street track in Detroit also?
Yeah, they have a street track in Detroit. For a long time, they had a street race in Toronto. That is now moving to Markham, which is outside of the city, which is going to be a little
Okay.
different. But yeah, but it really is all over the country with the exception of the East Coast. There is the openers in
Interesting.
St. Pete. They have a
Right.
new race
Florida.
coming to Arlington, which is just outside of Dallas, Texas, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. They got Laguna Seca, which is Northern California near Monterey. They, of course, have Portland. They have Long Beach,
Right.
just outside of LA. They're going to Phoenix. And then after that, a lot of the locations are in the Midwest.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to schedule my vacations then. The other thing I wanted to ask, so we've talked a lot about like these couple of racing series, but my question, maybe because Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein just came out and I have Frankenstein on the mind, if you could Frankenstein these together to make like your James Coker's like racing series with F1, with Indy, with Formula E, and maybe we're getting a little Formula E in F1 with I think they're changing the name from manual overtake mode, which felt kind of like attack mode in
Yeah.
Formula E. But if you could take the bits and pieces, like how would you build your like top racing series?
Are you talking about Mom, which is replacing DRS?
Mom, yeah, but allegedly it's not going to be called Mom anymore.
Yeah.
That's RIP.
We barely even knew her.
I thought we had more time.
And it's always like that. Life is short and you should appreciate the time you have.
Yeah.
I was ready for the jokes.
I was so ready. I explained it to my own mom. She loved
Yeah.
it.
100%.
I have to explain something else to her now.
I think the perfect series for me would be a series that has the marketing and packaging and aesthetics and looks and feel of Formula One, but with the parody and on track competition that IndyCar has.
Mm-hmm. And then Formula E can forget about it.
I really like Formula E, but Formula E is a very different style of racing.
But it's newer too, right?
It's newer. It's only been around for 11 seasons. This is now its 12th season, which just started the other week. Last week was their opening race.
Oh, that's right. And then there's a big long break, and then they're back in the new year, right?
Yeah, in Mexico City is January 10th is round
Okay.
2 for the season. But Formula E racing is very similar to cycling, where it's pack,
Oh,
or NASCAR where it's like pack racing, because the
yeah.
biggest part of the strategy in Formula E is energy conservation. They
Mm.
have a finite amount of battery that they can use over the course of a race.
Uh-huh.
And if you just jump out into the lead and you're driving in open air, you use a lot more battery than someone who is in the slipstream of
Got
another
it.
car. So the race leader is constantly cycling back to save battery. So someone will
Okay.
start off in the lead, then they'll cycle back to like fourth or fifth to conserve battery. And then it's about finding the right time in the race to go all out for the lead, but also
Interesting.
not run out of battery.
That's crazy. Every day I find out I have more to learn about motorsports. There's always something I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big, big world. A
Yeah.
big world.
For sure.
But something that we found out, which we actually didn't know, but you're also an actor,
Yes.
which is amazing. Congrats,
Thanks.
Mr. Talent. But how do you think that that world integrates, or I guess is similar to the world of motorsport? Do you see any similarities in making content in F1 and also being in that world?
I think for me personally, I'm just way more comfortable on camera because I've been doing it for so long.
Mm.
For over a decade, I was in New York City performing improv and sketch comedy on
Cool.
stage.
Mm-hmm.
I have been making content online for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sort of just taking my skill set that I had developed over the years, writing sketches, writing jokes, and applying it to this niche in
Mm.
motorsport. And it was a pretty easy transition for me. A lot of it is like math. You're seeing like, okay, if this is true, what else is true?
Mm.
Mm.
And you're kind of filling in the blanks. So for me, I'm just way more comfortable on camera. I'm comfortable talking to fans. I'm comfortable talking to drivers or team principals or anyone on, in front of a camera or in front of a phone. And yeah, that's it's just made it easier for me to be able to perform on camera. To give you an example,
Mm.
I was in Long Beach at an IndyCar race, and someone from Arrow McLaren came up to me and said, "Hey, do you want to do a garage tour?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would love to. When do you want to do it?" They're like, "How about now?" And I hadn't prepared doing a
Mm.
garage tour. I didn't have questions ready,
Yeah.
but I had a cameraman who was running sound, and this guy Benito Santos, who is the head of brand for Arrow McLaren,
Mhm.
took me into the garage. And because I had done improv for so long, was
Absolutely.
comfortable sort of just like coming up with stuff to talk to him on the fly. And it ended up being a pretty solid video where I think if I didn't have that experience, I would
Mm.
need, a few days to get questions ready to be able to like do a good job doing that tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the power of yes and. I learned that one in high school.
There you go.
Oh, I don't know how you do that. Obviously, that background has helped a lot. That would be my biggest fear, being pulled in so last minute. I'd be like, I'm not ready. Got a little bit scared just hearing you talk about it. But I guess that sort of flows into, you're obviously at the F1 movie premiere as well with KFC. Can you
Yep.
talk to us a little bit about what that experience was like? Obviously, on the flip side, like you're usually probably in the movies and now you're there as like a content creator. What was that like?
It was cool. It was only my second premiere I've ever been to. I've only been to one premiere for something I've ever been in, which was a movie earlier this year titled Freaky Tales, which has Pedro Pascal and Normani, and it was like one of Angus Cloud's last
Wow.
movies. But I got to go to the premiere for that, which was very fun. And
Cool.
then a month later, I got invited to the by KFC to the F1 movie premiere.
Mm-hmm.
It was in New York City, as you all probably know. The
Mm.
screening happened at Radio City Music Hall, but the
Which
red-
is iconic.
yeah, which is amazing. And the red carpet was in Times Square, which
Mhm.
was like I want to say 10-minute walk from Radio City Music Hall.
Mhm.
And they shut down like 2 blocks of Times Square, put down this big black carpet, had a
Yeah.
livery from every team on the
Wow.
red carpet. And it wasn't like I thought we would have more opportunities to like talk to actors who were in the movie or
Mm.
drivers, but they had spaced it out where creators and influencers were there for a certain like 45-minute period.
Interesting.
And the really important people weren't on the red carpet until like 2 hours later. So like, we got to like make some content on the red carpet, take photos, take videos, and then we were kind of ushered off, and we went and had a drink for a while before it was time for the screening.
I want to ask about the microphones, the fried chicken leg microphones.
So that was all from Wasserman. Wasserman is the agency that reps KFC. They came up
Yeah.
with the idea for the chicken microphones.
Yeah.
It was like styrofoam, and I want to say like cornflakes. And
Which
like,
is, I would accept that as like a, food.
yeah, sure. Why not? It looked like a drumstick. I wanted to take a bite out of it, but alas, did not.
Didn't let you
win. But it had a little compartment in it for the Rode like microphone that you put it in there. And so we were walking up and down, talking into a KFC drumstick. It was super fun. I was there with Ash Vandelay, who I used to host the WTF1 podcast with, who is an incredible motorsport content creator.
She does streaming as well, right?
She does.
Yeah, and she's done some live commentary for
Cadillac.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So she does a lot of watch-alongs for races on her own Twitch channel, and then she also gets paid by teams and series to do watch-alongs for them. So she's done GT World Challenge. She's done WEC watch-alongs for Cadillac Racing, specifically for like Hertz Team Joda, which competes in hypercar and World Endurance Championship. And she's just like one of my favorite people in the motorsport space. She's so knowledgeable. She's so funny. Cool. She's unbelievable. So we got to hang out the whole time there. It was funny watching the movie with her because she is such a motorsport nerd. The entire time she would be like, this is not how it happens at the 24 Hours Daytona. The fireworks happen at 10:30, not midnight.
That's so funny.
There's no way they could have driven through bus stop, which is like one of the stops at the 24 Hours of Daytona. There's no way they could have driven through the bus stop like that.
That's I love that.
This is so inaccurate. And
That's hilarious.
Like, a good time. I'm like, I don't care.
I'm just trying to get into the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. That's so cool. That's so fun.
It's super fun.
Well, I guess on that as well, what were your thoughts on the movie? I feel like a lot of us discussed how we had to sort of separate that what we know from the fact that this is a Hollywood blockbuster, and we sort of had to separate that, if that makes sense.
I think if you are able to compartmentalize your knowledge of the sport and also accept the fact that it is still a Hollywood movie that is formulaic and predictable, that does not portray female characters as anything other than one-dimensional and there to serve the male protagonist, you'll enjoy it. Like,
dude, if you can put all of that,
everything,
little things.
I think what was amazing about the movie was all of the way they were able to show the on-track footage. The on-track footage was unbelievable. The cinematography was incredible. The on-track action was amazing. There were times, especially watching it in the theater, where you felt like you were in the car and you were at the edge of your seat, and it was fun and exciting. A lot of the other aspects of the movie, I would give, a C-.
Yeah.
They were okay, but
that's fair.
But that's sort of what happens when anything you love gets the Hollywood treatment. It just sort of becomes that. But it was in no way perfect, and there were a lot of things they could have done to make it better. But chances are everyone calling the shots on that movie was an old white man, so that's what you get.
Yeah.
That's so true. I will say it was very neat to find out that it would be, I think it was the same like camera videographer like setup that they were using for Top Gun Maverick, where they were like actually up in the planes. So I like when I found that out, I knew that like any shots from the car or of the car were gonna be like all out, and it was cool to figure out how they had made all the rigs for it and where they had, because it's like they can't put like the same driver cams. Like if we had a whole like movie of the quality that we get from the T cam and like the driver cams, like I don't really know how many people would watch that. So it was cool to see them figure all of that out.
Yeah.
And that, I think, it's James, you're so good at like holding two truths at the same time, which we talk about a lot. Like multiple things are true at the same time.
Sure.
Of this can be so cool for this reason and also like kind of problematic, and we still have so much work to do in other ways. And like it can be both of those things at the same time.
Yeah, and also justice for Simone Ashley. I want.
Yeah.
Oh my, don't even, that's another thing I forgot I had repressed.
Yeah. We've got scars there.
I feel terrible for her because she had just come off. She had this incredible momentum coming right off of Bridgerton, and was supposed to roll right into this movie. She dedicates 2 years of her life to this movie. 3 or 4 months before the movie's supposed to come out, she's still doing press for it as if she's in the movie.
Yeah.
Only for all of us to find out, oh yeah, she was cut and she's like in it for half a second and credited as herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, her shot was like as herself, like in the paddock, just like attending a race. It was very disappointing because I love her. Like she's very amazing. She's very talented. And I couldn't imagine what she was feeling, like knowing that.
It has to be tough. Okay, so those are kind of the meaty questions that we have for you, James. The last one is kind of a game of I'd love for you to blind rank celebrity race car drivers.
Okay.
So I've only got 5. Okay. I was gonna do more, and then I said there's not enough. They're all super old, and I don't care about them. So no offense to Steve McQueen and like Neil, whatever, all these old guys.
Is this, blind ranking them on how good they would be as a race car driver?
Blind ranking them on vibes. On who's your favorite. There's no rules. I don't know. You can rank. You can tell us what you're ranking them on, and they can all be on different things if you want.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I'm gonna start. Goodness gracious, I'll start from the bottom of my list. Okay, so the first one I have on my list is Rowan Atkinson. For those listening who don't know, he has raced in the Renault 5 GT Turbo Series, and he is an avid car collector, and he owned, I think, a McLaren and then crashed it. So he's the first to rank out of 5.
Wait, you're talking about Mr. Bean?
Yes. I'm so sorry. In parentheses, immediately after his name, it said Mr. Bean, and I just skipped over that. Yeah.
Okay, I love Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
I'm going to put him at 3, though, because I don't
know. Very safe start.
Only because I don't know who else is coming down.
Well, yeah, that's the trick. Okay. Next, this one I've actually got his character name before the actor's name, so I have Magneto because I couldn't remember what his name was when I was writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is in the Porsche Carrera Cup in Germany.
He also was the narrator of One Life on the Limit, which is a documentary from 1996, which you guys have to see. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Okay. Write that down.
No, sorry. One Life on the Limit came out at a different time. I said 1996 because the opening scene is from the 1996 Australian Grand Prix. One Life on the Limit came out in 2013. It is a documentary about Formula One. And the opening scene is unbelievable. It is about Martin Brundle crashing lap 1, turn 1 in the Australian Grand Prix. And this is back when they still had a third car. And he saw the red flag and immediately knew that because there was a red flag on the first lap, that they were going to restart the race. So the opening scene is Martin Brundle sprinting to find the Formula One doctor to get cleared to go back.
So that he can hop in the replacement.
So he finally finds the doctor and he's like, hey, I'm good. He's like, you good? And then he asks him a couple questions and he sprints back to the driver. He sprints back to the garage being like, okay, I need gloves. I need gloves. Where are my gloves? And then they throw him into the T car, which is like the third car, the backup car, and he starts the race again. It was like so bad. He nearly died. Like the car completely flipped her over.
Wow.
Pre-Halo. Way pre-Halo.
And his like instinct was to get right back into the car.
That's crazy. That's such a horse girl thing to do of Martin Brundle. I'm so sorry. That's horse girl behavior because I, self-proclaimed horse girl, grew up doing it. You fall off. You can't not get back on or you'll never do it again.
Yeah.
And I'm claiming this one for the girls. That's horse girl behavior.
So if I was gonna say he gives Marc Marquez like bunny rabbit vibes, you know how Marc
that's horse girl behavior.
Okay,
yeah.
well, What way to put it? Jesus.
Well, it's
But
crazy.
Michael Fassbender. Sorry, long story long.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender is the narrator of that documentary. I love Michael
Right.
Fassbender. I'm putting
Yeah.
it 2.
Okay. So we've got Mr. Bean at 3, Magneto at 2.
Okay.
Okay. I'll keep doing character names. John Wick, Keanu
Okay,
Reeves.
Keanu.
Yeah.
I love Keanu. Like
I
these are
love
all
him.
good people, and
Yeah.
I just like I've never met him, but I was standing right next to him at the Indy 500.
He has a band. Did you know that?
Yes, I think.
Focus
I
on
went. They
Keanu.
were here in Denver. I went to one of their concerts. I have a really far away selfie of me and Keanu Reeves playing the bass.
Amazing.
Yeah,
This
so like
cool.
same energy. Like I've stood in the same space as him.
He was there as a guest of Andretti, and I was there with Aaron McLaren, and I
Uh-huh.
was standing in Nolan Siegel's pit box, and he was standing at Colton Herta's, and like I was like 5 feet away from him, but I didn't want to bother him.
Right.
But
Very cool.
I've heard nothing but amazing things about him. He seems
Yeah.
like such a lovely human being. I'm putting him at 1 just based off of
I
that.
think that's the only correct answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see this list. I think I'm biased anyway.
Yeah. Well, so I'll give a little bit of his like resume. He's competed in the Toyota GR Cup. He is driven at Indy Motor Speedway. He's involved with Cadillac and their whole documentary of getting to F1.
He also
And
was
he was
involved
also
with the LeBron docuseries that happened
Okay,
on
I didn't know
Disney
that
Plus
one.
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's
Yeah.
also in the movie Speed, but that was a bus.
That was a bus.
Not
That
a
was
car.
that was not racing. That was about a bus being
Could be.
hijacked by a terrorist.
What?
A race against time, if you will.
Sure.
I'm going to watch.
Be a race if you
Oh my
believe.
God.
Oh my god.
Okay. Okay, so we've got Keanu Reeves number 1, correct answer. There's no correct answers. Then Michael Fassbender, then Mr. Bean. I have Malcolm in the Middle, Frankie Muniz, who drives in NASCAR.
Yeah. I've heard he's nice. I don't know much about him, but he's been racing for a long time now. He's
Yeah.
retired from acting with the exception of the Malcolm in the Middle reboot, which is coming out soon.
Really?
Yeah, they're doing like a limited series like reboot.
How interesting.
But the actor who plays Dewey doesn't act anymore and didn't want to do it, so they had to recast Dewey. I actually auditioned to play Dewey in the reboot, but like I'm way too old to play Dewey. I don't know what they were doing asking me to audition, but I like Frankie Muniz. He's nice. I'm gonna put him at 4 because I don't know who's coming.
Okay.
next.
All right. Well, our last one is McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy, is Patrick Dempsey.
Oh, I love Patrick Dempsey.
Well, you had to put him 5, so I don't know how much you actually.
That's why these are blind rankings. All right?
Yeah.
But like, if I would redo it, I would put Mr. Bean at the end.
Okay,
I would
that's fair.
Probably bump up Patrick Dempsey to like 3rd.
Okay.
Frankie Muniz would stay in 4th because I like him, but I love Michael Fassbender and I love Keanu, so they would stay where they are.
That's super fair. And then for any listeners who don't know, Patrick Dempsey is in WEC, has been 24 Hour of Le Mans, and he has his own racing team, I believe, that he like obviously races under, but I'm
Super
not sure if
passionate about
there's
it,
Dempsey Racing, which
Also, he's also in Michael Mann's Ferrari.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That movie, kind of traumatizing. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Obviously, James has. I did not expect half of it's very graphic. I didn't think it was going to be like that going into it. But
Really?
special effects they've put on obviously the Ferrari crashing into a crowd of people. The special effects they put on that, I was actually I'm fine with that sort of gory stuff, but I was like, what the heck? I was not expecting it, but it's a really good movie. If you guys need to watch.
When you said it was traumatic, I thought you were going to be referring to Shailene Woodley's attempt at an Italian accent.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was pretty
I
tragic.
have to watch this now.
No,
yeah.
good.
I am a firm believer that they should have had Patrick Dempsey play the main guy in the F1 movie instead of Brad Pitt.
Or in Gran Turismo instead of
David Harbour.
Lily James or Lily Allen's ex-husband.
Yeah,
love
David Harbour.
What's his name? Yeah, David Harbour.
Yeah. True. No, I love
Hopper.
that.
That's a whole nother can of worms.
Wow, so many worms in that can too. Goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
Like these like the wheels on these cars, their marriage was open, right?
Sure. Yeah. So interesting. Wow. God,
We
we
learned
keep
so.
talking.
But like, yeah.
Yeah.
We have to
Well.
do a hard hitting question. It's not that hard hitting, but we did a whole episode on if teams had mascots, right?
Yeah.
I think we need to know, even if you just tell us what you think F1 as a whole, what their mascot would be.
Oh, that's a great question.
Like how the Olympics, you know, they always have like and it's like it's not like per sport. Because we were like, oh, Ferrari obviously is like a horse, but she has like a scarf around her head from driving in her like Ferrari with the top down.
Or like Haas was obviously an eagle.
I think F1's mascot would be a washing machine because it's just one giant fancy money laundering scheme.
Wow. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I can see it in my head right now. And there's just like green dollar bills going in the middle.
Oh my gosh. That was so good as well, but
You
yeah.
hear like a crane chicking around every now and then.
Yeah. Who was it this season? Was that this season? With Alpine?
Which one?
Ollie. Well,
Yes, Oliver Oaks.
yes.
Oh, yeah,
Was
yeah.
that this season?
I forgot about that. So much.
Yeah. Long season.
Motorsports has a long history and tradition of laundering funds.
Yeah.
If you ever there is not a ton of transparency for a reason, but like you'll essentially see like a team or a brand that owns a bunch of companies, and then they put those companies on the car. They're essentially taking money from one hand and putting it into another.
Yeah. That is the that really is like the circle of life in F1. But I guess to round out all of our questions, what do you think, outside of racing, what is the most fun part or most engaging part for you about F1? Is it like the fashion, the sponsorships, the rumors, the actual like going to the track and engaging with people? What is your favorite part outside of racing?
The thing I get most out of all of this is the people that I get to meet and interact with. Like I watch every single race. I wake up early. You know, I woke up at 4 o'clock to watch Abu Dhabi. I wake up at 3:30 to watch.
Oh yeah, I forgot it was so early on the West Coast.
Yeah. And I'm on the West Coast, so it's like really early. So I wake up early. I watch all the races live. I really enjoy getting to attend races. I love, that it's like a side hustle where I make a little extra money making videos for brands and stuff. But
it's such a fun way to do that too.
Totally. But what I get the most out of it is like getting to become friends with really fun, exciting people who have like a similar sense of humor. And I'm an older person where I'm married with a kid, so I don't have much of a social life anymore. So this is like my social outlet. So getting to go to a race or getting to go to like a car launch and hang out with some people that I've made friends with online and hang out with them in real life and, joke around and have a couple drinks. It's like, that's the best part for me.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, we never would have met, me and Brett and Liv. Certainly not you, James, wouldn't have met without, this unifying interest. Like they're all the way in Australia and I'm in Denver. Like, how am I ever going to make friends in Australia otherwise, like without any other sort of venue for that? So I think that's so cool.
Start by making Bobcatter fan cams.
You're so right.
We've come full circle.
We really have.
Oh my god.
To end. How perfect.
Yeah, I don't really think I can put a better cherry on top than that. So, James, thank you so much for coming on. We'll tag you in any post. We'll link you to the Spotify. Everybody go. If you're not following James, what are you doing? If you're not following us, what are you doing if you're listening to this and not following us? But anyway, mostly go follow James. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll do our typical sign off. We'll invite you to join us. Bye.
Bye.